West Tigers fans, one trial down, one to go. We're going to preview that game, review the first game. We are back in the iChoice studios. I'm here, Rob's here, as is in the right place this week. Let's do it. Another episode of the West Tigers Life. Welcome in to another episode of the West Tigers Life podcast. We are coming from the iChoice studios once again. Good to see the boys for the first time this year. The three of us are back in, ready to talk some West Tigers footy. I can see all our regulars coming in on the comments. We have moved to Wednesdays, so apologies for anyone who was looking for us on Tuesday evening. We've decided to move to Wednesdays because as the season kicks off, we're going to do plenty of stuff on the weekend. A big announcement to come probably next episode for next week. Our Patreon guys got a bit of a sneak peek of what we've got in store for the future, but it's very, very exciting for the show this year. And of course, every weekend we'll be doing something. So a bit of content for everyone on the weekends, a bit of one episode every Wednesday night. We're going to ask you guys to join in as well, so might be able to build up a little bit of an audience. So rather than people telling us stuff in the comment section, they'll be able to do it live and in person at this venue that we're going to be live streaming from. Unfortunately, it won't be the iChoice studios. We'll probably pop in here every now and then, Rob, but shouts to iChoice for letting us use their studio once again, and welcome to you. Happy New Year. First time on the podcast for the year for you.
Good to be here, boys. Good to be with you. We got some footy on the weekend finally, even albeit a trial. Thanks to Jason, obviously, for letting us use his office again, and this will be our backup studio whenever we're not at our new venue. Good to be here, and looking forward to dissecting the trial a little bit and all the news you've got to talk about tonight.
Yep, plenty of exciting. There was definitely a lot of overreactions to the trial, in my opinion, online over the weekend and the past week. But Mr. Thompson, how are you this evening?
Yeah, g'day Josh, g'day Rob, g'day everyone who's listening. I'm pretty good. It feels good to be back here with the lights on and when I arrived this time. So. Yep. And people in the place.
Lights were off last week when you were here.
definitely a positive improvement. I mean, I don't think it was mentioned last week that I asked you like earlier in the afternoon, what time did you want me to meet you here? And you replied to me saying, "Don't worry about it, just record from home." Literally like a minute after I had left to come here, having not received an answer from you until that point. And then from there, when I got here, it was about the time I got here today, about 8:15, and by then that's when I saw your message and you pointed it out to me, and then I had to take the 20-ish minute drive back home and rocked up a little bit late.
Thanks to Riffraff for stepping in last week from the other side of the world.
Man in Miami. I haven't seen
Alex Seyfarth's #1 supporter.
He is. He's going your riff over there in Miami, Florida. Helped us preview the first trial on the weekend. And as I said, we are coming this week. We're definitely at the iChoice studio / I say it's like a studio. You can see it behind. This is literally the offices for iChoice. So interest rates went down 0.25 yesterday.
Yep, down to 4.1.
Come on, CommBank, give me some loving, but I might have to speak to Jason because he can get you, definitely with the interest rates down, Rob, he can get you a better home loan. And you were just, because I'm an idiot with this sort of stuff, you were telling me off air that Jason literally, you don't pay him a cent for what he
You don't
does.
pay him a cent. Even when the deal's done, he gets paid by the financial institution. And the best part about it, he's so good not only with finance, but with taxation. He structures things how you want. So just give anyone from iChoice 300, and I promise you they will save you dollars. And if you're not trying to save dollars, you're an idiot. Like he's just the best in the business.
And the best thing, he's a massive Tigers fan.
A lifelong Tigers fan.
He was showing me, he's got his old poster here. It's got Wayne Junior Pierce on it. That's pretty cool. So shouts to Jason again and the iChoice team. As Rob said, 9743
0000.
4 zeros. Yes, but speaking of 000, a quick side note, I was driving out. Did you take the M4 here, Az?
No.
So it was 4 cop cars. It's very apt that we're playing the Bulldogs this week because there was 4 cop cars pulled over and a guy in handcuffs sitting on the wall in the M4, and the cops just kind of looking up, saying, "Come on!" So we might see him at Leichhardt cheering on the doggies this weekend. Possibly, we'll see how it goes.
Already making enemies.
Yeah, we're playing the Eels, aren't we?
We are playing the Eels.
Sorry, he must have been last weekend. Righto, let's get into some news. So first up, Clemmer possibly to the Dragons. So a little bit of a rumor came out yesterday. I can't remember which news. It might have been News Corp, I think. Mentioned that Clemmer's not picked in the team. He must be leaving. And we all thought, oh, yeah, bullshit. Like, how many players that won't get picked? Why would you pick him? He's pretty old, but it's come now. Both media outlets are reporting now that probably going to the Dragons, and the Dragons just have to give Francis Molo a release. Rob, what are your thoughts on Clemmer possibly having played his last game as a Tiger?
Look, it's an interesting one. I think the club always were trying to offload David Clemmer for at least the last 6 months now because of the size of the contract, like being on so much money. I've got mixed feelings about it. I think we've lost a lot of experience. And even though he's, a shadow of his former self, he's very passionate. He tries hard. I know he really does have a lot of critics, especially from the people we speak to, Josh. But I'm a little bit disappointed he's gone just for that fact that, it's a lot of games that he's played that now leaves the club. If you go back to the start of last year, we're going to play our round 1 game without our starting front row, without our starting second row. I think against Canberra last year, we had Alex Seyfarth at lock. And then the 2 subsequent wins against Cronulla and then Parramatta, we had Fanua Bole at lock. The other 5 blokes that started are gone. So just the fact that, even though I love some of the additions we've made, just the fact that we've lost a lot of sort of, stability. It takes time to build combinations and trust in defence and all that sort of stuff. So it's just another. It really didn't hit me too much, but at first. But then I thought about it. I'm like, geez, 5 of the 6 starting guys are gone. It's a big deal, but we just have to trust the club, trust Richo, trust Benji. It frees up another top 30 spot, of course. So obviously, hopefully, we can find a better replacement, and that will certainly alleviate the pain. But a lot of experience, when you consider now in the last 3 weeks, Bateman's gone, Clemmer's gone. That's a lot of rugby league games between them. And we saw on the weekend how young our squad is. So mixed feelings, but again, we just got to trust the process. And if Richo thinks it's right, Benji thinks it's right, then I'm all for it.
Shouts to LMB, trust the process. What are your thoughts on Clem switching possibly to the Dragons?
Yeah, well, at first when he was taken out of the trial team list to play the Dogs, I kind of thought it was a bit of, maybe they're just resting him for the fact that we've got a 5-day turnaround for trial number 2. It did seem a little bit interesting that he was the only forward that we'd expect to play a lot of game time this year, other than Talon, of course, get named in that team list for that first trial. And then, I thought nothing of it when he was taken out. And then obviously this news comes up today, and it's the first I see of it, and I'm thinking, okay, well, maybe there was something behind it then. And I agree with Rob. He's a big loss from the experience point of view, what he brings to a team off the field. I remember seeing in some videos this year from the club, he's trying to be a real leader off the field, talking a lot in the training sessions. I remember seeing that in a couple of videos, and I think I even mentioned it in the Discord at one point. I think it's going to be a big breakout year for Clem, trying to lead this new pack. And yeah, if he's on the way out the door all of a sudden, then that does, I think, mean we will be lacking a leader in the forward pack. And I think probably Terrell might be the person to step up in that regard. He's been he's shown no shyness to trying to make the point of, if he doesn't get a ring this year, it's not a successful year.
Yeah,
and I think
he wants the role, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's really going to lead from the front, I think. And Clem departing kind of opens the door for that, even though I have a feeling he probably would have tried to do that anyway. But obviously Clem being here meant he had a little bit more experience at the club. He already built a bit of a role with the hookers and the halves and stuff like that. So, I mean, yeah, I think it's a bit of a positive, a bit of a negative. If he does go to the Dragons or wherever he does end up, I hope he does all right. Just not when he plays against us.
Yeah. For me, it's all down to money, and they're saying that he's on 700K. If the Dragons are taking most of that, there was a opt-in 14-game clause or something. He plays 14 games this year. He rolls into a contract for next year. So really, it's all down to money for me. And the number one priority for me is making sure there's plenty in the bag to pay Lachlan Galvin when it comes to, November 1 this year. Hopefully we can do it before November 1 this year. And if Clem is off and we're cutting money out of the cap this year, give it to Lockie, get the new contract sorted. So they talked about the war chest, I believe. The Sydney Morning Herald, they're saying we have $1 million to spend. Give it to the kids. All these kids coming through. I know we've got Appy, and Appy's only got a couple of years left, but we've got talent coming through, and we've got arguably one of the best players of a generation incoming in Lockie. We've got Luai for 5 years. So
I think we need to lock up talent.
Yeah, we're gonna use that $1 million and don't let any more. We've already let Manly talk about Nav Willett is looking good for them in the trial. We let what's his name also go to Manly, or someone else, one of the young kids sign with Manly. Help me out in the comments. Large, yeah, Tony Large is gone.
Large, yeah.
So we're letting some talented kids walk out the door. Let's get the money back. And look, we do need leadership. You're 100%. Clem, and if Clem was on 300 grand, I'd be like, oh, don't let him go. We need him, but he's on 700 grand. He's not going to give us 700 grand worth. So I think it's better take his paycheck and give it to young Lachlan. Speaking of young guns, we extended Jared Haywood, so young Balmain Jr., and then Christian Tarpo Moores. Did I say that right, Az?
I don't actually know. I haven't heard that one before.
So they're extended to 2028. So Tarpo Moores is a Maggie's junior, so 2 young, talented players coming through. So, yeah, Richo's making sure as much as possible that these young guys aren't let go. So a couple of people were saying that the Francis Molo swap. Look, I don't think he's on apparently 100K less than Clemmer.
He's got more oomph, but I think he's got some off-field issues as well.
I'd rather.
Just on Haywood, by the way, I went and watched, I think one of the first games was Harold Matts, actually, a couple of years ago. And I literally wrote 2 names down, and he was one of them. He was so impressive at dummy half. He actually came off with an injury that day, but I remember thinking, wow, this kid looks really good. So I think with the dummy half stocks, we're very well equipped.
Yeah.
Just quietly on the Clemmer salary as well. That's something that for the fans that's something that doesn't come from our club. That was his deal at the Knights where we
took it on.
Yeah,
we had to
took it on.
Though.
We had to take it on.
And people said he hasn't. I think he's done a good service to it. He hasn't lit the world on fire, but I think he's a good leadership for the young guys.
I love his passion.
And I mean that first year we were paying, I think, what was it, half or just over half of his contract? It was
now
like
that we're
350 to 400
and that
or
was
something.
Good value.
Yeah.
Clem and I have a lot in common. We argue with referees. Like you see him whenever we're getting the wrong end of it on the field, he's in the ref's face. So
the Dogs game
can't deny his passion.
You've got much nicer hair.
Yeah. Thank you.
Speaking of nice hair, Big Red re-signs for another couple of years. This one, came out of nowhere. But Rob, what can you tell us about the re-signing of shouts Riff Raff again over in Miami? He would have woke up in Florida there and would have had a bit of a tent pitched, I reckon, when he was when he saw the news. That
It might have been the
player.
reason that it took him a while to comment. He would have been running around in circles in his bedroom. I can tell you that, well, what I've been told anyway is that Alex Seyfarth has actually accepted less money to stay with the West Tigers and knock back more money elsewhere. So I guess it's great to see his loyalty and stuff like that. I'm not sold on the guy as someone to be in our 13, let alone our 17. And I've looked back at some of his stats of the last 7 or 8 games he played of last year. Other than probably one game, his stats were actually quite good. So maybe I've just been a little bit of a doubter of him. But anyone that wants to wear the jersey and wants to stay and loves the club, I'm not gonna knock it. But again, it's look, if he's on cheaper money, then that's great. But having seen the trial on the weekend, and it is only a trial, makes you realise we do need to keep guys like Alex around, because some of the forward contact on the weekend wasn't fantastic, although they are quite young.
What are your thoughts?
So last year, admittedly, he did have a pretty dodgy start to the year.
Very dodgy.
Discipline let him down a lot, all the way up to, I think, the Raiders game at Campbelltown. After that, he kind of turned over a new leaf, I'd say, and had a really, really strong stint to finish the year. It was a big part of the reason why we won those late season games. I think it was like, what was it, 3 or 4 wins in that last 7 rounds or so. And I think, from the point of view of having a player who wants to stay with us on less money, is really, really good. I think personally, we're in for a bit of an Alex Seyfarth redemption year. If he starts the year on the right foot, continues that way, like basically the way he ended the year. If he starts this year and ends this year the way he finished last year, then that's a massive ups and a massive credit to him. I honestly reckon the PM's 13 selection has probably lit a bit of a fire in him. And I think we're going to see a very determined Alex Seyfarth this year. And just quietly as well, if you're a fan of banter, sign up to the Patreon, join the Discord, because I think some of the best banter
Don't make that public.
is going to be between Mr. Rob
the two Robs
and Mr. Riffraff, because they've got quite a little bit going already, and it's great viewing.
Yeah, no, patreon.com/WestsLife. Join for a few bucks a month and come in the Discord, or become a YouTube. If you're on the YouTube, you can become a member then for the same thing if you don't want to sign up to Patreon. But it is, a lot of fun. A lot of discussions on all sorts of things, all sorts of sports going on. You're hard into the NFL.
That's my favourite page. It really is.
You both, we're all pretty big.
Yeah,
NFL, a lot of NFL fans in there. NBA.
I'm still trying to get into it, but I'm getting a little bit better. I'm understanding the rules a little bit more.
Yeah,
slow progress.
There's wrestling,
just as slow as the games are.
There's a channel for wrestling if you like that shit. If you're an 8-year-old child and you like pretend sports, come talk with other guys about that. Shouts to Woodsy too, getting on the WWE this week. Did you see that?
I didn't see it.
Yeah,
I did read about it, but I didn't see it. No,
very cool. I mean, Tigers fans bag him out for the whole breakup thing, but man, he's killing it this year. He's Daytona 500 to the wrestling, and then Vegas. He's handing out footies and stuff.
He's the next Bo Ryan, isn't he?
He was also one of the Vegas reps for Manly last year. He was one of the 4 players who went over there early to try and hype the season launch up.
I think he's great. I'm enjoying. I listen a bit to shouts to Bo.
Now he's got a new show on Triple M too, I think.
Yeah, Bo Tash and Woodsy in the morning. It's good. I enjoy it. I really like it. Righto. Let's talk about the game last weekend. So shouts to all the people who didn't like me saying that the Bulldogs technically won this game on the socials.
Don't start that up, please.
Quite the argument. So to go into bat for myself.
Okay, here we go.
Technically, they won. But what I meant was it's a trial, so who cares? They won technically, but did they win morally? Maybe.
They won in every way.
Discuss.
They won in every way. Like I said to you, the game we got ripped off against North Queensland, that's where you say technically the Cowboys won, but we know we won that game. The game was over. The kickoff shouldn't have happened. The penalty shouldn't have happened. The video ref shouldn't have come in. That's when I'd use the word technically. But once you use the word technically, you're saying that even though technically you're right, literally, you're also alluding to the fact that it isn't 100% the way it should have been, that there was something else to the situation that made the result happen. And I think Canterbury won the trial fair and square.
They did, but it didn't matter.
Trials don't matter, period.
Yeah. That was my point. That's
Okay.
that's the point I was trying to get across. Who cares what the
You're
score
going
was?
down in flames with it, but okay, good on you. Good for you.
As what are your thoughts on this one? So basically, the first half we saw, a few of our superstars, and the second half was mostly young guys. Were any standouts for you?
Yeah, so we looked a little bit sloppy, I thought, overall in the first half. Kind of came into our own a little bit in the second, but we had sat a lot of the guys who played in the first half in the second. And, a few players got minutes. A few players from the first half got minutes in the second and things like that. Overall, I thought we played decent. I was impressed with our scramble defense. I thought at times that was really good. So it seems like they are setting some higher standards defensively at the club. Obviously, with so few of our main squad playing that game, we'll get a much better idea of where we're at defensively with our main squad this weekend or this Friday coming with the other trial. But overall, I was quite impressed by some of the youngsters, some of the names that were put out there on show. Fa'atape, not necessarily a youngster, but obviously someone who played a fair chunk of games last year, was, I thought, really solid as well. And I think a bit of a pick up where he left off. Hopefully he can improve a little bit more throughout the season. Overall, yeah, I thought we were decent. I've got a couple of standouts, but I'll get to those in the stats man, so I won't go too far into the players.
I'm trying to think. I want to shout out Skelton. Skelton.
I thought Skelton was
looked
great.
really good.
Yeah, Skelton was great. Yeah, like... he came to the club and did exactly what we brought him to the club to do: make those yardage carries out of our end.
Obviously, Lockie was just controlling the game, and he looked a standout on the field. You can't say enough about him. Another player to stand out for me. I don't know if I'm going to steal it, but it was young. Falatino Tavana. Did I say that right?
Yeah, that's probably what I'd say.
He's got some hops. He's got some agility. I like the way he moves. He was
beautiful
fun.
Try assist for Fatape as well. That was great.
Yeah, that was a great. Yeah, he summed that up perfectly as a center. So yeah, exciting for this young kid coming through. I think. Yeah.
Which of our squads is he in currently? Is he in?
He's SG Ball.
SG Ball.
For the Magpies, I believe.
Okay.
This year. Yeah.
So that's under 19s SG Ball, isn't it? Yeah.
So he's on the verge
up into flag in the next year or two. Then.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, maybe a bit of cup this year as well. So actually, he might have been. No, he might be ball last year. Cup might be cup this year.
Or flag.
Maybe flag. Yeah,
flag is obviously the step up.
I think he's up to
flag.
He's gone ball to flag. He was ball. I think he's flag this year. So so he might get some cup time this year, and maybe next year break into the squad. I was quite impressed by him. Rob, any names that we haven't pulled out yet, or do you want to add to?
I'll just add to what we thought of the game. Personally, I thought the ball handling was really good early. I thought we played a pretty simple game plan, but I actually was, after about 25 minutes, I was like thinking, wow, we haven't made an error yet with our hands, which was really good. I hope this is a structural thing, but I was so pleased. I mean, it got bad in the second half to a degree, in particularly with, unfortunately, Alex Lobb, but I just thought the talk, the slide, and the defense in the back line, we weren't getting caught out, where the guy just jams in, where unfortunately Alex did that in the second half. But in the first half, there were a couple of notable occasions where they came down Folletti and Skelton's side and they just held their ground. They slid. They didn't let an overlap create so simply. And the same happened on the other side with Fa'atape and Lobb. I could see like Lockie and they were just sliding across, talking, and it was man on man and everyone numbered up and they were making the tackles. So I thought that was really good. Obviously, Lockie was only going to play the first half, so he pretty much controlled the game and tried to be first receiver everywhere. We got to see that great try by Heath Mason, which was, again, Lockie just feigning to kick and then just stepping off his left foot and creating a 3-on-2. One thing too with Lockie I noticed, and it's just a minor thing, I just thought his kicking game was a lot better than, it looks like it's improved a lot. Even just the length of his kick looked like it had another few meters on it. in terms of his long general kicks. I think we're going to see a bunch of 40-20s from him next year when it's on.
Yeah, there was one
couple
kick.
of beautiful grubbers too.
Yeah, the grubbers into the in goal,
But the
like they were
long
all
kick-
precise. You can see he's worked on his game.
There was one that was from inside our 30, and he landed. You got grass inside
It
their 10.
went like 50 meters on the fly. It was
Was that the one they just barely saved from being a 40-20?
I think it was the first half. Yeah. Well, obviously it's the first half because that's the only half Lockie played.
There was one where their fullback, Blake Taff, who by the way looked absolutely terrible with that new hairstyle.
Yeah, he looked like an 80s action. It's quite funny actually. I said that in the Discord. I said he looks like an 80s.
And then the commentators not long later said the same thing.
Yeah, and then I saw someone on Facebook. Someone posted on Facebook the same thing. So I was
Yeah, but then I do remember that particular kick where he got a lot of distance on it and it just barely wasn't a 40-20 because they got hands to it, kept it in play, and then we ended up doing the same thing in that second half as well.
But that tried not just from what Lockie did, but even the flick pass from Fata Ape, the grubber kick from Alex Lobb was perfect, and then Heath Mason.
That was a great try.
He's always looking like he was going to back it up, but that kick from Lobb, like he made sure it went end over end. It didn't have any funny wobble about it. It was always going to be an easy one to catch and fall over the line and score. But so that was a real highlight. Just some of the young forwards, and we might see it later in the podcast feedback because I've actually. A friend sent me some messages. I agree with him. The first contact of some of the young guys wasn't great in terms of defence and trying to control the ruck. But again, they're only young. Some of them have hardly played. If you want me to mention another name, I thought a couple of Kit Lauli's runs were pretty huge. But look, just general, I just like the style with which we played with. Yeah, sure, we lost to a nobody team. And, I think Canterbury probably had a few more first graders in the starting team than we did. And they had a lot of talent there. I thought their forwards played really well. But whether we'd have played well or not didn't really bother me that much. It was just good to see that there was a good style there. I didn't think Talon deliberately didn't overplay his hand. Like, I don't think we want to show all our tricks, but he needs to get some miles in his legs if he's going to start round one. I thought he was impressive. I just thought overall, and just a minor thing, maybe it's just me just being left field here, but watching Benji on the sideline, I love the fact that he looked fidgety, like anxious, like nervous, like I know it means a lot to him, but he looked like it meant a lot to him. He was just a little bit antsy-pantsy, and I thought, this is good. I want to see that little, I just want to see that hunger, instead of him being Mr. Macho Cool in the box, as he normally does, because he's a cool-looking customer. But it was just nice to see him just be a little bit on edge, even though it was a trial. So, I want to see our coach sort of wear his heart on his sleeve a little bit more, and he did that the other day, in my opinion, anyway.
Yep. No, definitely. Apparently, he's really cracking the whip.
Yeah, you can see it. Like he was hungry, and I'm like, that's a good thing, because I've questioned a lot of his stuff, but that was a really good thing.
A couple of comments in the stream here. So again, if you're listening back either after the fact or on the audio stream, 8:30 next Wednesday, join us live. Joining in the comments. And as Alex shouted here, he said, "Don't forget to like." So if you are watching on the YouTube, give it a like. Share it with your friends. Share it around. Give it a like. Help the algorithm out for us. Trevor here mentions Heath Mason. Trevor's said he's from Rutherford. Why am I struggling to say that? Rutherford. Is that in England?
Rutherford.
Is that in England? Trevor, let us know. But he mentioned Heath Mason. He reckons Heath Mason had a good game. I think, Heath Mason looked pretty good.
We had a lot of good players. We just got to remember too, a lot of those guys, like the interchange was just like a roulette wheel, and like there were blokes there that wouldn't have played next to each other before in the middle of the field. So it's we've got to be realistic about what we expect. But I was happy enough, honestly, just seeing the way our backline defence was talking and working with each other, even though a couple of times, it didn't work out in the second half. That gave me a lot more encouragement, because I'm sick of watching, 15 out of 17 NRL teams get ripped apart by a block shape. Like, it just drives me batty. Like, just number up, guys. Just don't jam in stupidly.
Kim, a couple of people mentioned, Matt did as well, Justin Matamua. So, yeah, he's been around the club for a while and he's just struggling to get back in first grade. I think he's got the talent, but yeah, just can't seem to crack it. You got any thoughts on Matamua, Az?
It is one of those ones that's a little bit disappointing. I honestly thought we'd see a little bit more out of him, particularly in that game on the weekend. But was it just me, or were we playing him more like a third prop instead of as a lock? Is that what it seemed like to you guys? And that's probably
I didn't
why
notice him
we
in the
didn't get a
backline.
lot of that ball play from him, because we've seen he's got that in his game. We had a couple of double headers out of Campbelltown, and in particular last year, where we got to see a lot of really good things from Matamura in the 13. But it seemed on Sunday we just played him as a third prop, and I don't think that suited him.
I think moving forward, like we've always wanted an Isaiah Yo type of lock, like a ball playing lock. But given the fact that we've got, with our strongest team on the park, when we've got Appy, when we've got Lockie, when we've got Jerome, like we've got 3 ball players there. Like, do we need that 4th player? So maybe we're just after a hard-nosed lock. Like I mean, again, he's on ball ties. He's on ball ties, but the perfect bloke could be someone like Talmalolo, just like a machine. Just I think we just want basically another prop who can run and do a lot of defensive work. But I don't think. Well, we don't really have a ball playing lock except for Justin Matamura, and he hasn't done enough to prove himself. So I guess he's on the outer, because what's he been there now? 3 years. We've been touting him as getting a lock spot, and it never seems to work out for him.
Trevor confirmed Rutherford is in Maitland, Newcastle.
Well, we have a lot of English names out here.
Yeah. It's
not as far away as you first thought.
Yeah, it's not far from
Maybe a long way to come to training every Tuesday from England,
Yeah. No, Trevor in the comments. He's watching from
he's watching from Rutherford.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. My bad.
I
thought you were talking about Heath Mason.
No.
Okay,
Sorry,
my bad.
Trevor in the comments.
Okay.
Said he's from Rutherford. And it sounded like it's apparently Newcastle. There you go.
A player who hasn't been mentioned yet, who I wanted to ask you guys' opinion on, Josh Felaherty. What did you think of his game on the weekend?
I think Josh just hasn't filled out yet. Like he's
still raw.
He's still young. Like he just still hasn't grown. He's gonna be bigger again in another couple of years. I think he's a good centre, and he's not letting himself down in any way. Like I think his defence was pretty good. He runs the ball hard, but I just think he's another couple of years away.
How old is he? Do you guys know? I'm trying to just pull him up now.
20.
You guys can have a look.
20.
20.
20. Okay.
We'll be 21 in September.
Okay. So yeah, still not even 21st birthday. Can't
just give him time. Like
yeah.
I mean, and that's hard. Like when he was 15, he was a Manly junior scoring 4 tries against teams every week. I mean, he's in a man's grade now. So just give him time. Give him time. I mean, I'm not saying he's going to work out, but I just think
he basically he was like Luke Lauliti. We basically played him to debut as soon as he turned 18 because it was that last game of the season 2 years ago at Brookie, and it was like early September, so he had literally just turned 18, probably maybe like a day or two before it.
Yeah, I think the jury should wait, maybe 2 more years before coming in with a verdict.
I think if he gets a good season in Cup this year, we might be able to see him potentially make that move up next year, maybe if we don't see much of Olam this year, which is probably one of my biggest question marks around our team at the moment.
We've got a lot of injured players at the moment. It's a little bit scary.
Righto, let's get on to the game at hand on Friday evening, 8 o'clock kickoff at the 8th Wonder of the World, Leichhardt Oval. We'll be there. You guys got your tickets?
I've had my ticket since like the day after they went on sale.
Silly you, because they're buy one get one free now.
It doesn't matter. I was going alone anyway.
Well, I am too. So if anyone wants a ticket, let me know, because they're offering. I can't think of they sent out a code. I'm trying to think what it was. I think it was kids go free, I think might be the code or something. But if you buy one ticket, they give you 2 tickets basically. So it's obviously not selling well. They tried charging $40.
I still got 10% off with the member code that they released when the tickets went on sale.
Okay. So fair enough. But
grandstand as well.
So yeah, get out the Leichhardt, bring a friend for free now if you can. Right, as who is playing? I've done forwards first, which is pretty stupid because they're not number order, but that's what I've done. Run us through the starting 4-pack.
All right, starting forward pack, starting front row. We have the first appearance of Terrell May in a Tigers jersey, as well as Fanua Pole. Talon De Silva lines up at hooker again. Samuel Afenu and Alex Seyfarth get their first minutes of the season in the second row, and Alex Seyfarth is the captain. The other Alex Twal, plays his first minutes of the season at lock.
yeah, pretty good looking forward pack there. Rob, what are your thoughts on?
It's a solid pack. Yeah,
Yeah.
like there's no new names there or anything like that. So they should acquit themselves well. I guess it's just going to be a question of how many minutes are they going to play. Like these trials, we've seen in all the games, not just our games. Like it's literally a tale of two halves with who the players are in each half. So I just don't know how many minutes they're all going to bust out, and we've just got to make sure that they just get, I don't know, 30 or 40 minutes and put them in cotton wool and get ready for the Knights at Campbelltown in a few weeks.
Yeah, I think we'll get to the bench, obviously. I think we've named 21 players. The Eels are named like 100. They're basically going to do NFL team on, team off, it looks like. But, yeah, so I reckon they'll give them first half. You don't need to play more than a half. It's just a bit of a scrimmage, really. So be good to see, yeah, like you said, as first time seeing Terrell May in the jersey. I hope he enjoyed my Rambo reference on the thumbnail this week.
I did. I personally enjoyed that as well.
Yeah, I wonder if he did. Please don't hurt me, Terrell, if you're offended. But yeah, talent again at hooker, Pole for the first time this year.
No, Appy just quickly is an interesting one for me. Obviously, he's not playing any minutes until round 2 with that suspension in round 1.
That's all right.
I feel like maybe it would have been a good idea to give him some minutes in the legs, even if it was just a 20 to 30 minute stint, just so he could brush some cobwebs out, because obviously the season's up and running by the time he comes in now, and he's experienced enough to, I guess, not really need the bit of the freshen up. But I think given the fact he's getting a little bit older, a little bit of a freshen up in the trials might have been beneficial, even if he doesn't make any runs and just like scoops the ball out from dummy half and gets the passing. So
yeah, Dane's saying on the comment, rumors of an Appy hamstring issue. But yeah, I'd rather, even if he's got a hamstring issue or not, hopefully he plays 23 games. It's a long season. I think it's fine. Like really, we want to come out firing against the Knights and nail a win against them. But yeah, he's players like that. I don't think he knows how to play rugby league. He's been doing it for 30 years. So
he'll be ready to rip in regardless against Para in round 2, hopefully.
By late last year, you could just tell he was burning.
He was
burning out.
Yeah.
So hopefully, I think this year with Appy, he doesn't have to do as much. So maybe he won't. If he plays 23 games, touch wood.
I think the biggest thing for Appy this year is the fact that he's got a new leader that he'll line up alongside week in, week out in Luai, and that's just so much of the load that he was carrying the last 2 seasons off his shoulders. And like that in particular, I think was what was wearing him out late last year, and what led to his not great final game of the season. And I think, just having his mate in Luai, someone who will be able to take some of that stress away from him, will do so much good for his game, so much good for his confidence, so much good for his ability to focus more on what he's doing as opposed to what everyone else is doing. Luai, I'm not really sure what sort of leader Luai is going to be. I think
it'll be great.
I hear he's been pretty vocal at training, and he was vocal from the day he rocked up. So
I think Luai brings a swagger and a confidence that this club's been lacking.
He won't let us lose
for sure.
Yeah. And just what you're referring to there with Appy as 2023, like if you're playing the Tigers, you just got to watch Appy. Like Appy's everything from dummy half. But where, last year we had Lockie Galvin come in, suddenly you got to watch Lockie, you got to watch Appy. Now you got Jerome Luai coming there. So there's just more weapons around the park. Jareen Buller's starting to develop a passing game, and he's a threat with his running game. There is
starting to be a little bit more vocal.
And if the defense starts worrying about, Lockie and Luai on both sides of the ruck, interchanging at first receiver, playing left, playing right, Appy's just going to pick his moments when to go and when not to go. So I'm extremely excited about our spine. Like I know Richo talked it up, maybe to put a bit of pressure on Benji to say, hey, mate, I've given you a good spine. You got no excuse this year. But it's a really exciting time to be a West Tigers fan. Granted, we've got some issues with our pack and depth and all that sort of stuff, but our best sort of 22 players can really do a job. We just got to hope that we don't have to do what we did last year. I think we used 36 players last year. We don't want to be going to those sort of depths. Otherwise, we're in trouble because some of the talent is either raw or just not up to it at this stage. So hopefully we're reasonably injury free. But geez, we've had a bad start and the ball hasn't been kicked off yet in round one. So
could be worse. Could be South.
Yeah.
Or the Cowboys.
What's happened to the Cowboys?
2 ACLs.
Yeah. Second rowers. What's his name?
A second rower.
Helium Lukey.
Yeah, Helium Lukey and I think Tom Chester, one of their young halves.
Yeah, right. Okay. Righto. Backs, run us through the backs as the back line for Friday night's game.
Okay, so Heath Mason lines up at fullback again. Gerald Skelton and Charlie Staines are the wingers. Stafford Toa and Fresh off an awesome performance in the All-Stars. Brent Naden in the centres. Lockie Galvin is in the 6 again alongside Adam Dewey.
Yeah, Brent Naden, as you said, played very well.
Amazingly well.
He was
Brilliant
close
game.
to man of the match.
I think if the Indigenous team win, he probably gets man of the match or is maybe one.
A try-saving tackle.
Yeah.
And as a Naden... I said it last week. I said I'm a big Naden guy. I believe I think he's in for a big season this year, and
he's got to. He's playing for his career now.
Yeah,
like it's his last season. He has to perform.
But I think he's in for a good one. Fingers crossed he can stay healthy. But yeah, I think with the players around him, he's going to look much better, and I think he'll be a player too. That as we play better, he'll just he'll go to another level. So. Rob, so NATO's back this week. Stafford Toa back in the centres. So Adam at half. So yeah, look, Adam Dwayne been named at halfback. It's a lot of people online not happy about that, but you and I we're Adam Dewey believers.
I'm an Adam believer, and as much as I'm a believer in Adam, like by the way, I think Adam and Lockie, that's got to be one of the tallest halfback combinations I've ever seen. Adam will do a job. Adam's got a kicking game. He's got a passing game. Although some disagree with me about his passing game, I think he's got a great passing game, not just a normal passing game. He's got an elite passing game. I think he'll do a great job. But it's surprising that Latu Fainu hasn't got the start ahead of him, given that that's his specialist position. And it makes me wonder, has Latu got any injury concerns of himself? Because we saw him take a bit of a backseat role on the weekend to Lockie in the half. So that's just the only surprising thing for me. Maybe Adam's going to switch to centres during the game and Latu comes on. And that might happen. And the other thing too, like it's good for Adam to showcase his ability as a half, just in case for some reason, the Tigers don't want to re-extend his contract.
And Luai might play Origin.
You never know. So I know he'll do a job. So I've got no problem with him being there. I'm just shocked that Latu didn't get first crack at it. That's all.
My personal opinion on that one is I think Benji wants to have Lockie play alongside a more experienced player in the halves. Obviously, that's what he's going to get with Jerome through the season. But I think we saw last year when Lockie and Latu were the starting halves, things could get a little bit chaotic. So maybe they just want to test out to see how Lockie goes alongside Adam, potentially as like you said, maybe a backup to Luai for when Origin rolls around if he's selected. We'll potentially see that combination, Lockie and Latu, later in the game, or maybe Lockie comes off and Latu comes on, and maybe I don't remember if we have a half or a noted half in our
on our bench.
Yeah.
We'll find out shortly when we look at the team. There you go. You can make it a bit bigger.
Charlie Staines, any opinions on Charlie being back? I think people underrate Charlie. Good to see him back.
Charlie's strength is being in open space. And I think this year, if you've got guys like, Luai and Galvin creating holes for, centres and back rowers and Staines can get on the end of some of those passes, that's where he'll look good. I mean, he looked great at Penrith, but he didn't do anything flash at Penrith except catch, run like a gazelle and score. So we need to make Charlie look better. But one thing with Charlie, he always gives it 100% every week. And I've seen how he runs the ball. He runs the ball harder than some of our forwards did last year. So I've never knocked him. I've always been a fan of his. But yeah, he's an absolute professional. So I hope he gets his chance. But look, at least the outside backs, we have got some decisions to make. There's plenty of different ways we can go about who we can play at centre, who we can play on the wing. We haven't even mentioned Taruva yet. So there's another bloke who's being put in cotton wool. So when you think Taruva, Olam, Appy, and then you're telling me not to worry about injuries. Like, I'm freaking worried about injuries. So we got a little bit, it's a little bit concerning, but we'll be right.
I do like Skelton and Staines as a wing pair. I think those are two very good players to have on the wings, both very good under the high ball. Skelton, obviously, as we saw on the weekend, very good run meters from our end, those tough carries. And Stainesy can be pretty good in that regard, although we haven't been able to see the best of him for most of his time at the Tigers so far. But I think he's another player, in my opinion, similar to Alex Seyfarth, where we could be in for a bit of a breakout season from him. And he's one of the players I'm going to be keeping a bit of a closer eye on through the season to see how he goes, whether that be in first grade, cup, or wherever he might end up playing.
The one break that Canterbury made on the weekend near the halfway line in the first half that came outside Skelton had to push in because the man inside him pushed in as well. Like, there was a massive hole there. So people will say, oh, yeah, no, he's still a bit whatever. Like, he's just following his defender. So I don't even blame him for that. Other than that, he had an exceptional game, and it really wasn't his fault, even that particular play.
Righto, on the bench, Latu Fainu, Royce Hunt, Jack Bird. So a couple of newbies there. Sione Fainu, Tristan Hope, Tony Suka, Kit Lauli'i, and Solomona Fatape. So, a couple of get to see the Rolls Royce rolled out of the garage. Rob, that'll be something to watch. He played obviously last week in the All Stars as well, but went off. It's a good sign that he's been named this week, because he did go off with a bit of a
shoulder, I think it was.
Shoulder after 6 minutes in the game.
Obviously, he went back on anyway.
If you judge a book by its cover, Royce Hunt should be playing Origin, but what I see I'm not sold on him. I'm totally not sold on him. I hope he absolutely rubs egg in my face, but he's the one purchase that I think we're putting a little bit too much faith in, given he averaged 21 minutes a game for Cronulla. And I can see, like, watching Cronulla's game, I can see why they offloaded him, because they got young talent coming through their forwards. That's amazing. So I know Jack Bird's best is really good, so I'm really counting on Jack Bird to be good and get through a season and be injury free. And I'd actually like him to be our lock. I think he's actually a really good decision maker as well. He'll know when to hold the ball, when to pass the ball. So I'd like to see him at 13, given who we've got in our squad. But yeah, look, I'm pretty positive about the year, to be honest, guys. I keep saying to you blokes in the Patreon, like, we can have as much hope as we want. I think we should be hoping to finish 5th or 6th, which means gives you a home final. I'm not a believer in this coming 8th and getting flogged by 40 points by Melbourne just to say that we made the finals. If we make the finals, I want to play a part in the finals. So I'd like to finish, we can finish 5th or 6th, but at the same time, my expectations are absolutely zero. And I think that's how we need to be. We enjoy our footy, have a lot of hope. There's a lot of new buys there, and quality buys in Skelton, in Taruva, in Luai, particularly Terrell May. You can make your own mind up about Bird and Hunt. There's enough talent there to say, well, there's plenty to change. But at the same time, in terms of expectation, I keep going back to Spoon Bowl, like that was kind of our HSC exam. And you look at Parramatta, they put 60 points on us, and they got rid of a quarter of their team, maybe a third of their team. They got rid of Gutherson, Sevo, Dejan Arce, and Regan Campbell-Gillard. They weren't considered good. Yeah, Talangi as well. No, Talangi.
Blaze Talangi. Yeah,
but Blaze Talangi left. He didn't get shown the door. He got purchased. But the other 4 were basically told, you're not wanted, and they all scored tries that night too and had blinders. But we need to realise how, like, even though we're just last on by 2 points and all that, we're a long way last. So that's why I can have a lot of hope. But if things go pear shaped, I won't be surprised. But I think the club needs this year to be successful or else. So we just have to make the 8. We really do. I've just got no doubt about it. And I've got more faith in Luai because he's a winner. He's had 4 premierships in a row. There's enough from that Penrith combination there between, if you go back to even to the grand final they lost in 2020, between Naden, Taruva, Luai, Coruscant, Staines. There's enough people there that know how to win. And you got, young guns like Jareem Buller and Lockie Galvin, who's, work ethic and will to win. It's just all there. Like we can be really strong this year, but it's going to take a lot of hard work. But looking at the boys, I think they've done the hard work. They looked enthusiastic on the weekend. There was a lot of talk that you could see. I'm not going to write us off until we have to write us off. Yep. So I've got high hopes, but, I've been kicked to the shit house for the last dozen years or so. And another year's I'm not going to be, oh, wow, that surprised me. We didn't do well. Like we've got a lot of steps to climb, but we can do it.
Speaking of, this season and predicting a top 8. So I posted the current top 8 according to our prediction survey. So if you go to westtigers.com.au, drop the S in West. That's our little, link. That'll go to our link tree. And there's a big button there you can press to open up the Google form. Let us know. Lots of fun questions to talk about, which will be next week's show. Obviously, it's the Vegas weekend, no game for the West Tigers. So that will be our season predictions survey episode. Always fun. We've done it probably 4 or 5 years now, season predictions. So it's always good fun.
We need to have a show that reviews them, though.
We did.
Did you?
Yeah, we did it last year.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
Maybe the year before we did.
We revisited it last year.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't much else to talk about.
And see how drastically terrible we end up being with our predictions for the top 8.
We didn't want to talk about the spoon bowl. So
yeah, true.
So boys, off the top of your head, who's in your top 8? A little bit of a taste.
I go first or me? I know mine. I'll go first. So I've got Melbourne on top for minor premiership. So I'll go a different way. Of the 8 teams that made the 8 last year, I've got 4 of them missing out. The 4 that will stay there, in my opinion, are Melbourne, Penrith, Cronulla, and who's the other team there? Manly. And the 4 new teams that I think that will make the 8 will be Brisbane, Warriors. Don't laugh at me, it's a smoky, but I love what Jason Riles has done already. I think Parramatta will be there. And my 8th spot, I picked with my heart, not with my head. I've got the West Tigers in there because I just think it's so open. And I look at all the other teams, and I'm like, well, no, they're not that good. They're not that good. They're not. Why not us?
Why not us?
Why not us? So we can do it. So that's my top 8. So Melbourne, Penrith, Cronulla, Brisbane, Manly, the Warriors, Parramatta, and the West Tigers.
Let us know in the comments too, guys, if you can be bothered typing out 8 teams.
So I won't go into too much detail for my teams at the moment because this is a draft. I may make some changes after the trials this weekend, which was kind of what I was planning to do. So not 100% locked in yet. And obviously news out of the Rabbits today kind of makes me not sure if I'm going to have them still in my top 8. But
I never had them to begin with.
They currently
got
are.
No props.
I've got my top 4. So I've got the Storm, the Sharks, the Broncos, and the Panthers. My 5 to 8, I've got the Rabbits, Eagles, Cowboys, and just scraping in the Roosters.
Roosters. There you go. A lot of people leaving the Roosters off.
They've lost too much talent for me. They can do it, but I think they've lost too much talent.
They may also get Joey Manu back mid-season, and that could potentially help them in a run home to the finals because apparently he's not enjoying himself over in French rugby or wherever it was.
I feel like he was always coming back.
He's too talented to be playing another game.
Does. He picks a season where people can go off and earn a bit of money. Sonny Bill did it, and then brings it back and probably pays them this year for next year. And
similar to Pangai Jr. and what happened with him, obviously he quit the game to go box for a while, and that lasted all of 5 minutes, and he came back again as well. So
he didn't go back to the same club though, did he? Didn't he go Panthers then Broncos? He did Panthers half the season then Broncos, didn't he?
I think it was Bulldogs before. Yeah, he was Bulldogs before he
bitched out. Don't hurt me.
And I think he's a Dolphin now.
Who are you talking about?
Pangai Jr.
Pangai Jr. He was with Penrith. He won a premiership with them a couple of years ago.
But he only played 6 games.
Came at the end. He was their version of Ellery Hanley.
And then he was like half a season at the Dogs or something as well, as like a bit of a midpoint sort of deal.
Then wanted to do boxing and
now he's come back and he's a Dolphin.
Yeah.
All right. As I won't make you go through the 6,000 players that the Eels have named, but in the halves,
strong centre pairing. Cassini and Lomax.
Yeah, but who are these halves as?
I don't know anything about their number 6, Tay Hurini Twiddle.
Oh, we could have some fun with that name.
You really could.
Oh, gosh.
And
Where's
Ronald
Billy
Kaufman.
Birmingham when you need him?
It is a little bit of an interesting one because they did play Dylan Brown last week. They gave Dylan Brown
They
some
did.
minutes last week.
He had
against
a
the Knights.
cracker.
He had an absolutely brilliant game, and Volkman is named in the 7 again. It does surprise me that they haven't named Moses or Brown in this one, considering that's obviously going to be the halves pairing for them. And Mitch hasn't played since State of Origin Game 3. I'm pretty sure. I think he injure himself in that game, or did he
in that game? He got injured in that game.
He didn't play for Parramatta again after that. I'm pretty sure. Interesting one there. Yeah, Lomax is a big in the centres. I think that's going to be a big missing piece for them. They're going to have a bit of a battle at fullback, I think, between the starting number 1, Isaiah Iongi, as well as Joash Papali'i in the reserve. So they'll probably split the minutes at fullback. A bit interesting when you're naming a player like Josh Adokar
on the bench,
jersey number 25. So they've got a bit of a hooking situation as well. Brendan Hands is in the reserves. He'll probably get some minutes there. So while we've got some questions about how our team line up, they've got some too. There are a few players I'll be keeping an eye on, possibly for Supercoach purposes and the like, and just like young talents they have coming through, that's the thing that always fascinates me about the trials, is seeing the young talents coming through at all the clubs, because a lot of them get a bit of game time. And obviously with Iongi in particular at the moment, I think he's one of the biggest rising talents coming through, and was an interesting one. I thought that Penrith let him go, but obviously he's not going to get much when he's playing behind Dylan Edwards and players like that down there. Obviously he didn't have as great a performance as he could have last weekend, and Joash Papali'i set the world on fire. So Charlie Geimer as well is another one of their players in their reserves, jersey number 19. He came in, I think, with maybe 6 rounds to go, had 2 games it might have been, and unfortunately did a bit of an injury in the second one, which ruled him out for the remainder of the season. And I thought he showed a lot of promise too. So good to see him back in, getting some minutes. They've got a bit of an experienced fellow there in Bryce Cartwright as well. So, I mean, there's experience all over the park for the Parramatta team. They've got some of their experienced names in the starting side and a fair chunk of them on the bench. So I think their plan is to kind of play. Maybe they're interested in trying to get this 100K. Maybe they
looked hungry on the weekend. They're well coached. They've trained hard. You could just see there's a different mentality there. I think Riles has deliberately tried to get rid of some of the guys that weren't great culturally within that team, because like those 4 blokes I mentioned before, like 3 of them would walk into our team. You know what I mean? And they're not deemed fit, good enough to be at the Parramatta Eels. So I think we're going to have a very tough game. Like, look at the other guys here. Is Madison starting?
14.
Yeah, get Hopgood in your Supercoach team, by the way.
Ryan Madison. Does the whole top 30 split the 100K? Is that how it works?
I don't think it goes to the players. I think it goes to the club, so the club can use it for whatever they want to use it for. I think it's
Ryan Madison's toll money,
club communal thing. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, they're playing some of their experienced guys in the starting side, some off the bench, so they'll have experienced guys on the field probably all throughout the game, which indicates to me that maybe they are trying to win this 100K, which they have a very good chance of doing.
I hope they don't. God, I hate him. Robson Armus, I don't think you've prepped anything for this, but just we'll bring it back as the season starts.
Yeah, no, well, nothing.
You can gamble
on
trials. I'm surprised you can gamble on a preseason.
Yeah, I don't even know who the other trial games are this week, to be fair, right, Josh. So
but, next week we'll be in a good spot to
definitely
hand out some bets. Now it's Wednesday night, it's a little bit closer to Saturday race day, maybe not quite.
I can do the Saturday stuff from now, but I'm not going to do it now.
We've got a Roster Armus channel in the Discord that
we'll leave
Saturday
it there.
Morning we'll
leave it there.
Give us some tips and stuff. So other grades over the weekend, SG Ball, the Balmain Tigers in the SG Ball. Wooden Spooners last year, they're now 3-0. They beat the Manly Sea Eagles 32-22. The Magpies in SG Ball went down to the Rabbitohs 40-22. In this week's game, so Balmain will be playing. God, I didn't help myself making this screen so small. They're playing against Penrith in Windsor. Balmain are playing in Windsor, and Magpies are in Camden. They're playing down against the Dragons. And I've cut it off there. Let me just I can't actually say.
While you're looking for that, it
Yeah.
is a little bit of an interesting one how those two have kind of swapped over this
Yeah.
year. Obviously, Balmain were the Wooden Spooners. Magpies got
They're all
knocked
promoted.
out in the finals. I think they were
Mm.
because they were minor premiers or something last season and got beat by the Warriors, who went on some sort of magical run to get to the grand final in SG Ball, and they fell at that last hurdle before the grand final there. So the fact that they're down low on the ladder and Balmain are up near the top is rather interesting.
And Balmain, Harold Matts had their first win in a couple of years on the weekend as well, which was really good for them.
Yep. Speaking of which, they beat the Doggies 18-16 at the 8th Wonder. Magpies lost in Harold Matts as well, 22-8 out at Camden. And then, so this weekend, is that right? Tigers playing Bears, playing different teams than Harold Matts.
I know Harold Matts are playing at 11:30 at Lidcombe. They're playing 11:30 at Lidcombe because I was asked to go watch my young cousin Zach, and I can't make it because I've got something on at midday.
So the Matts and the Ball are playing in different locations.
You don't see that too often, do you?
No, that's pretty
they
rare.
usually follow each other.
They do.
There you go.
They did a couple of
I
weeks
made
ago.
a mistake there, but apparently, Balmain playing the Bears at Lidcombe Oval, and I believe the Magpies have a trial in Cup as well at Lidcombe Oval this weekend. So obviously playing.
Maybe that's why.
Yeah, put them with the Cup, but and then the Central Coast Roosters.
Do Flag have a trial too, or is it just Cup?
Possibly. Should have researched that. But playing in Woy, the Magpies this weekend. Good old deep water. Righto, Tasha Gale, the girls got up 26-4. Lisa Fiola, they got up 28-24. So both the girls winning there. As we're going to look up the ladder. So the girls this week are playing in Cessnock, which is a shame. I'm in Cessnock for a wedding next weekend. I could have caught that game, but up the Hunter Valley for the girls this weekend. If you want to catch them playing the Newcastle Knights, where are the girls sitting on the ladder as?
So Lisa Fiola, which is the under-17s, they are 6th at 2-1. And Tasha Gale, they are 3-0 and sitting 3rd.
Beautiful. Good on you. Girls, the MacArthur comps, Laurie Daly boys beat the Colts. The Monaro Colts? The Monaro?
Monaro.
The cars Monaro.
Remember they had a team back in the day, Eden Monaro, when they used to play the midweek competition.
But it's also a federal electorate.
Oh, okay, that is too. Yeah.
Yeah. So
maybe that's what I'm thinking.
Monaro, but it's the Monaro to me. HQ, HT. Laurie Daly boys 30-22 win, and Entry John's boys 36-4 win. They're also playing in Camden, which is where who else is playing in Camden? No one. They're by themselves. Okay, playing against the Dragons in Camden this week. Right, stats man. Here we go. What have we got for this week?
So, as I alluded to before, Stats Man this week, I wanted to take a bit of a look at some of the players who, for me, stood out in the game over the weekend and how their stats sort of looked. So, Rob, I think you mentioned Kit Lowley. I thought he was brilliant. Some of his runs were some of those off-the-back fence style runs. He ran onto the ball really hard every time. Maybe dropped one, but I didn't really hold that against him. Obviously, it's a trial. They're going to be a little bit rusty. So 16 runs for 157 meters, which he led the team in. 61 post-contact meters, I thought, which was really good as well. So carrying defenders with him on a couple of those runs. 2 tackle breaks, making 24 tackles, only missing 2. Overall, brilliant performance from him, I thought. And
no minute stats. You were saying.
No, yeah. So the trials, the stats on the NRL.com don't record
because they don't
minutes.
Because it's hard to track who's going on and off.
Because the unlimited interchanges. If once the limited interchanges start in round 1, they will.
How many minutes do you reckon Kit played?
It's really tough because sometimes I could clearly tell he was on the field.
Yeah.
Sometimes I could clearly tell he wasn't. Other times I had no idea whether it was or not.
He obviously didn't play 80. He went off.
Yeah.
160 meters.
Every player, almost every player on NRL.com is listed as playing 80 minutes, which is very much not possible.
Yeah, they're obviously not tracking. But
it's really hard to judge minutes out of the stats. Next one, Jarrell Skelton, we talked about him a little bit. So 11 runs for 124 meters. I think one of those runs might have been maybe 20 to 25 where he got back over halfway. I think there may have been a touch of a little escort on the catch for that one, but we let that slide because we don't get those very often, and it's a trial, and we probably won't get those once the season starts. So 11 runs for 124 meters, 68 meters from kick returns, 35 post contact, made one line break as well, and broke 4 tackles. Falatino Tavana was also mentioned briefly earlier. I really enjoyed what I saw from him.
Like him.
Yeah, 10 runs for 76 meters, 12 meters off kick returns, 33 post-contact meters. He only had to make 3 tackles or only made 3 tackles and missed one.
75%.
It's decent, I guess.
Really.
3 line break assists as well. A couple of those, I think, went to Fa'atape, and obviously a try assist that he set up for Fa'atape as well. So great game, I thought. Very good game. And one that wasn't added to the slides, which I wanted to mention briefly as well, was Talon De Silva. Not really from a stats perspective, because his stats weren't all that to sneeze at, I guess. But what I really enjoyed from Talon, his passing from dummy half looked a lot crisper. He didn't really get a lot of chances to run, but he chose a couple of really good moments to run and got a couple of good runs out of that. Obviously, having Appy at training to learn off has probably been really good for his game. And also in previous years before this year, obviously, Robbie Farah at the club being a little bit of a mentor for him as well, improving his game. Also from a defensive perspective, he made 22 tackles, I think it was, and only missed 1 or 2. So very solid defensively as well. He's similar to Lockie, I think, in that regard, a little bit longer and lankier, but he holds his own, especially defensively. Appy's obviously a little bit of a short ass when it comes to defensively, so it's a little bit easier for some players to get around him. Plus, we've talked about Appy potentially trying a little bit too hard at times, and that kind of working against him when it comes to the stats perspective. And so I really enjoyed what I saw from Talon. I hope he has another really good stint on Friday night, leading into obviously who we expect to be our main man in the number 9 for round 1, and potentially that round 1 game may be his audition for a bench spot, backing up Appy throughout the rest of the season, because there's obviously still a little bit of a debate between us and a lot of Tigers fans about who gets that number 14 for the year, whether it's going to be Tal, whether it's going to be Latu, whether it might be
it's a tough one,
another Smoky.
I think it'll be Talon. I think it'll be Talon.
I think so too.
I know Latu covers halves, but I mean, not that I like Appy switching to halves, but if we're desperate, Appy can move to halves. But the thing with Talon, and it's like a lot of other players, when you see young guys go into first grade and they do some really good things with their flair, but you kind of know, they're not first graders yet. They're not ready yet. They're still young. They've got to grow. They've got to do this. Talon's built up, and the best compliment I can give him, he looks ready.
Yeah.
He's a first grader. And we need to keep him. And I think he'll be the perfect foil for Appy Coruscant, and he'll be able to play long minutes as well if need be. So
surely Appy doesn't play 80. We can't play 80.
He's not going to play 80. I don't even think Appy's going to play 60 or 55 unless he needs to. But the better Talon is, the less we need to rely on Appy.
Yeah.
So
less pressure on him too.
Like I said, I think he's ready. The one run he made from dummy half in the red zone, it was so telegraphed. Like I'm telling you, Talon was just keeping all the tricks in the bag. He'll save them for a day like what he did against South on the Central Coast and carve teams up. So really happy with how he's progressed in the off-season. You can tell he's worked hard on his body, on his game. He's ready to go, guys.
That run you just mentioned from dummy half in the red zone reminded me a lot of the one Appy made against Manly at Leichhardt, where he literally pointed out the offside defender, who I think was Tom Trbojevic,
and ran at him.
Got the 6 again as he ran straight through him to score a try. Like, didn't even need the 6 again to score the try. And like that was Appy all over. And that particular run from Talon reminded me a lot of that play.
Yeah.
So he's obviously learning a lot from Appy, which I think is going to really benefit his game once Appy decides to hang up the boots, whenever that might be.
Super chats. So no super chats tonight. Guys not feeling it. That's all right. Next time on the YouTube stream, maybe we can get a tip jar from next week. We'll put a tip jar. Literally, if people might be able to come and actually watch the show at the new venue. next week. But and also shout out to our patreon.com/WestsLife. Join us in the Discord. Take part in the show. Yeah, we'll do all sorts of fun things with them this year. But yeah, come join in on the fun on there. For those that don't know, patreon.com is just a little website that you can help chip in and help guys like us, guys and girls like us that are, trying to grow. I know NRL Physio's got one himself as well, guys like that. So, but screw him, support us, get on there, support him. Check him a couple of bucks. He's pretty good with his stuff as well. And shouts to them. There they are, all the people who have donated on the Patreon.
Speaking of the Patreon, real quick, because we've had so many new people come into that over the off season, I wanted to quickly mention that we do have some comps throughout the year. So if you are super coach inclined, we have that. There's fantasy comps. There is also the tipping comp, which I am about to restart as well. So keep an eye out for that in the Discord. We do have, I think it's a footy tipping, I think that's what you called it, room. So if you're new to the Discord in particular and you're
there's a channel for everything.
Yeah. If there's not, I'll make it for you.
Exactly.
Many times Josh has had requests to come through, and about 10, 15 minutes later, there's been a new channel.
We need a golf channel.
A golf channel? Yeah,
I need a golf channel.
Make a darts one as well. I keep watching the darts these days. So
croquet.
I don't know much.
We'll end up with 180 channels.
Why not?
That's what you did there.
Talk about anything. But yeah, the footy starting for realsies in a couple of weeks, so it'll obviously be firing during game day. It's obviously the best place to be. Screw Twitter. It's just, as I've said in the past, it's like Twitter without dickheads. So good.
During the season, Riff Raff does a top 5.
He's great.
Since he misses most of our games, he literally is the king of our Discord. He misses the games because he's sleeping most of the time they're on, especially the early ones. So he'll wake up when the game's over. We've all lost our heads in the Discord, win, lose, or draw, and he'll go through and pick out his top 5 moments and basically give them awards and shout them out when he wakes up. And especially after a loss, it's a fun way
it's the one thing I look forward to, seriously, when the comp's on, because like none of it we could post, obviously, on here, like we go off our heads, but but I really like it.
Right, that just about does it. Next week, as we said, the season prediction survey. So go to westtigers.com.au, get your surveys in. We've literally got hundreds of them, but the more people that submit, the more fun the data becomes. So we'll talk about each thing, your favourite players and who you think is going to be good this year, forwards, backs. What else have I got in there? Top 8 prediction, as we talked about.
Grand final
predictions. So,
still asking people how we feel about Benji as coach.
Yeah, how you feel about Benji, and
which
also
round is Alex Twile going to score his first try of the season?
That's a good one. And also you can drop in a little rant too, and we'll bring up our favourites.
Bold prediction.
Yeah, bold predictions. Chuck in a bold prediction, and we'll read them out on the show next week because it's Vegas week. No West Tigers game, but it'll be red hot, ready to go to Campbelltown the following week after that. Speaking of Vegas, rumours I've heard. So apparently next year for Vegas, Dogs, Dragons, possibly Tigers. Apparently it's going to come down to either Tigers or Eels to go.
And Knights, I think I've heard as well, potentially.
Yeah, that makes sense. So Tigers are a 50-50 chance to go next year. I don't want us to go.
I want to go.
I only want us to go if it's an away game. If it's a home game, I'm not.
We've all got to do it. Yeah,
we have to
that's
go.
a good point too.
We have to go.
I want to go, and I probably won't. I want to wait one more year. I want to get one more year to go over to America.
I mean, this year is teams 5, 6, 7, and 8, so that's 8 down, 9 to go. So if we don't go in 2026, we most likely go in 2027, and then there's one team left in 2028, and there'll be 3 repeats. And I think a lot of those teams from the first season quietly really want to go back again. So it'll most likely be whoever is the last team to go, along with 3 of the 4 teams who went last year. And just quickly, I think we're going to have a very bloody good day of footy to watch next Sunday. Even though we're not playing in it, I'm really looking forward to all 4 of those games. Park myself in front of the TV, just enjoy a festival of Vegas footy.
It's going to be good, but
get a hot dog.
March 7th, boys, just bring it on.
Yeah, no, I'm the same.
Seriously,
I just can't wait for Campbelltown.
I'm itching. I'm
Be
absolutely
close to my
itching for it.
birthday for my liking, but I'm hanging out for that too.
Oh,
so
yeah.
being the first game.
I want to see a
Remind
packed
me again.
house and everyone losing their fucking shit.
Best
Mine-
best birthday present for myself, which is the day after the game, would be a win in round one. Like I'd love us to win round one and
We'll get you a
get
cake.
to celebrate the day after with just
You heard it, boys.
elation.
West Tigers players, if you're listening, do it for Az round one. Do it, please.
Do it for your families.
But we'll see. We're all going to Leichhardt on Friday night, so we'll see you out there. Say good day. Yeah, probably go to the pub nearby for a beer before or after. Might be a good night as well. So yeah, come say good day. Thank you everyone on the stream on YouTube, everyone listening back on the podcast pipes. Yeah, subscribe wherever you are listening to. Please subscribe, share it with your mates so they go for West Tigers. Help us out, help us grow the show. And as we're in for a big, exciting 2025 for both the team and for the podcast. So a lot of fun to be had this year as well. But let's head to the 8th. And yeah, it's like a reunion going back to a West Tigers game, seeing all our West Tigers is family. So until next Wednesday, as always, boys, go the Tigers.
Go the
Go
West
the
Tigers.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the WestsLife podcast. Please follow us at WestsLife Pod on Instagram and Twitter and facebook.com/WestsLife Pod. You can also support and take part in the show at patreon.com/WestsLife and give us a subscribe on YouTube and turn notifications on. We'll see you again next time on another episode of the WestsLife podcast.